Welcome back to the Sunday Gorilla Men's Bible Study. I'm Brother Thomas Lee Harris III, and welcome to our new studio. I'm looking to just change up the look a little bit. And we're going through the book of 1 Samuel, which is, I'm not sure, one of the longest books in the Bible. It's got 30 chapters. I think Acts has 28, but it's very long, but it is a very important book because it introduces us to the character of God manifested in men. You know, in Samuel, in David. We hear everyone talk about David, right? King David and how he wrote the Psalm. So God's character is really defined in men. So let's jump back in. Also want to explain that I took a break. I'm doing like 10 chapters and then leaving them, posting them to give people time to read. Because you're supposed to be going along, it's supposed to be a study. See, I got my highlighters right here. I'm doing the study with you with a new Bible, so I have to highlight. And it takes time to read the chapter, and I don't want anybody to just skip over because it's very important stuff. So I'm only going to put like maybe 6 to 10 new chapters a week. So you go through it. So we do the study. We can't skip over. We can't take shortcuts with God. So I'm in chapter 21. Chapter 21, 1 Samuel. Now David came to Nob, to Amalek the priest. And Amalek was afraid when he met David. And he said to him, "Why are you alone, and no one is with you?" So David said to Amalek the priest, "The king has ordered me on some business and said to me, 'Do not let anyone know anything about the business on which I send you, or what I have commanded you. And I have directed my young men to such and such a place.'" Verse 3. "Now therefore, what have you on hand? Give me 5 loaves of bread in my hand, or whatever can be found." And the priest answered David and said, "There is no common bread on hand. There is holy bread, if the young men have at least kept themselves from women." All right, so we're going to mark this because we find this verse 4 again in the book of in the Gospels, in the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And it's talked about the sanctification of the Sabbath. And it makes reference to when David, when there was nothing to eat, they ate the holy bread that was so supposedly reserved for a special time. So we're in verse 5. "Then David answered the priest and said to him, 'Truly women have been kept from us about 3 days since I came out. And these vessels of the young men are holy, and the bread is in effect common, even though it was consecrated in the vessel this day.' So the priest gave him holy bread, for there was no bread there but the showbread which had been taken from before the Lord, in order to put hot bread in its place on the day when it was taken away." Verse 7. "Now a certain man on the servants of Saul was there that day, detained before the Lord, and his name was Doeg, an Edomite, the chief of the herdsmen who belonged to Saul." Verse 8. "And David said to Amalek, 'Is there not here on hand a spear or a sword? For I have brought neither my sword nor my weapons with me, because the king's business required haste.' So the priest said, 'A sword of Goliath the Philistine, whom you killed in the valley of Elah, there it is, wrapped in a cloth behind the ephod. If you will take that, take it, for there is no other except that one here.' And David said, 'There is none like it. Give it to me.'" Verse 10. "Then David arose and fled that day before Saul, and went to Achish, the king of Gath. And the servants of Achish said to him, 'Is this not David, the king of the land? Did they not sing of him to another in dances, saying, Saul has slain his thousands and David his 10,000s? Verse 12. Now David took these words to heart and was very much afraid of Achish, the king of Gath. So he changed his behavior before them, pretended madness in their hands, scratched on the doors of the gate, and let his saliva fall down on his beard. Then Achish said to his servants, Look, you see the man is insane. Why have you brought him to me? Verse 15. Have I need of madmen, that you have brought this fellow to play the madman in my presence? Shall this fellow come into my house? Amen. And that concludes the 21st chapter of the book of 1 Samuel. So we see in verse 4, it talks about the showbread and the breaking of that which was called holy, or it was supposed to be only for sacrificial purposes, but the need that David needed it, superseded it. And then we're getting back into his confrontation with King Saul. So that concludes the 21st chapter. I'm not going to give too much commentary, and I look forward to seeing you in the next chapter. Amen.